the use of the electronic ID. And from Red.es, we also play an important role, and we have also taken into consideration from the beginning the technological adaptation so that these services can be accessible by all. In this sense, and through the General Directorate for the Information Society, we have looked at the installation of equipment in police stations where they provide and where they issue the electronic ID, many kiosks that allow you to update the ID data that through the use of a PIN, and they are all adapted for motor people that have a motor disability in order to be able to adapt them to all the citizens that, for instance, are on a wheelchair. Also, the General Director for the police station and then for the police, National Police, also signed an agreement with us in order to update all these kiosks in order to be able to be used by the visually impaired. This has an added value, a clear added value. And Red.es is also looking at the creation of being able to use these kiosks through the use of headphones. Once these citizens and once we all have this electronic ID, we will all be in the same situation of a relation with the authorities, with the public authorities, despite of what computer we use, if it's from home, from the work environment, etc. And I finish with another example, which is a project that I'm announcing today, but is still being developed. And we hope to be able to launch in September 2009. This is a project in which we will allocate certain funds, hopefully this Friday, for a specific project called Tic Tac, where we have included a proposal for public centers for the use of internet, and we hope that all centers will have, for instance, a joystick specific for the specific use of certain people with disability, tactile screens, touch screens, etc. I really hope that we have many more activities that we can include normally and in a routine manner to our activities, not just from Red.es, but from all the other public authorities and from all the other ministries that participate in the Information Society. And I would also like to mention the work carried out by INTECO, the National Institute for New Technologies and Telecommunication Technologies, and that specializes in training all the civil servants regarding everything that has to do with the services for information society. I am sure that the conference will be very useful, and though we still have many things to do, I hope that events such as the one here today clearly show that we are all going in the same direction and working in the same direction, and that we will be able to obtain the goals that we want. Thank you very much.
Let me start by thanking, first of all, Montserrat Ballarín and Sebastián Muriel for having accepted to attend this inauguration, because we are all aware of how difficult it is for them in a day, on a Wednesday, to have a little bit of time for an event like this. But we thank you for the effort and the time that you are spending here with us. And I would also like to thank Jesus. Why are we... He mentioned that we are organizing this conference here in Barcelona. And one of the reasons why it's here, it's because many people from Catalonia came to the prior conferences. They have a special sensitivity to these issues. And we knew that if we were to hold the conference here, this would be a successful conference. We knew that everyone would be very committed and involved. I need to thank the ONCE delegation in Catalonia, especially the involvement of the territorial officer, Ms. Palai. And from an organizational point of view, having the conference here in Barcelona was not more complex than organizing it in Madrid. Therefore, we thought it was just fair to have the conference organized here in Barcelona. I would like to mention again, on behalf of ONCE Foundation, the gratitude towards all the speakers, participants, and people who have been with us since 2005 when we held the first conference. Without their assistance, these conferences would not have had any content or any sense. We include in this list representatives of Spanish universities from other countries, and over 200 people who have been with us along these years. You are the raison d'être. You are the key for the success of this conference. We hope that it is useful. We are sure, actually, it is. And that's why we are so stubbornly committed to continue organizing this conference and to offer what it can offer to the group of people with a disability. ONCE Foundation turned 20 last year in 2008. It was created in 1988 when the ONCE organization, the National Blind People Organization, decided to change its name after having been created in 1938. Actually, the ONCE was created with the purpose of bringing with people with disabilities, especially with visual disabilities, all the breakthroughs, advantages, and possibilities that people without visual disabilities have. And in this commitment, there are two main guidelines, main axes of work. First of all, the struggle to integrate people with visual disability at work, because if there's no integration at work, there is no social integration either. And the second line of work was to reduce barriers, accessibility barriers, and to promote better freedom of movements for our members. First, we worked with physical accessibility, i.e. eliminating architectural barriers in transport, means of transport, and things that have not been fully achieved. But actually, we must admit that there have been important improvements. And along the years, we started to think about other aspects of accessibility that were as important as the first ones. And ever since, we created a number of corporations and departments that were devoted to different issues of accessibility that we had not thought of, such as accessibility to new technologies and information society, tourism for everyone, leisure, culture, and so on. And along those lines, and focusing on what has brought us here today, we believe, and we continue to believe, that in the field of new technologies and ITCs, we are facing a dilemma, because they could be used as an element for integration and to make things easier for people with disability or with reduced mobility. It could promote and facilitate their incorporation of society, and they could mean an improvement to quality of life and a higher level of independence. But if we were not able to work consistently with these goals, we could face a situation where there would be discrimination or increased inequality, because we might be unable to access those new technologies and those new means that actually make life easier for all of us and that allow us to be part and parcel of society on an equal footing. That's why we have made great efforts to raise awareness among all social groups with regards to making these technology breakthroughs available to everyone, so that they are accessible for everyone, whether they have a disability or not, whether they have a certain age or not. Along those lines, we thought that this conference was important because, from our point of view, it allowed us to combine in a seminar that has tried to be made as interesting as possible, not only the spreading of information about these breakthroughs, but also a dialogue with a number of people and institutions that have different tasks. Some focus on research, some focus on corporate services. Some of them are the advocates of users, but in any case, they could all get together and present changes, and they could tell us how these changes can contribute to a better quality of life for us all. We believe that if we don't achieve standardization in terms of the manufacturing of goods and services that will allow us to have affordable costs, we might have accessible technology, yes, but this accessible technology will not be affordable and will not be accessible for everybody. That's why we need to do things that are affordable for everyone, regardless of their purchasing power. That's why we thought that this type of actions were important, and that the collaboration and presence of people and participants have confirmed that interest, and we believe we will continue to do everything we can to collaborate with public governments and the social partners, so that this opportunity that new technologies open up does not become yet another element of discrimination. We should not forget that the European Union has a number of, well, almost 20% of the population of the EU population is made up by people with disabilities or with reduced mobilities. And this helps us understand a little bit more the concept of universal accessibility. Universal accessibility and design for all in products and services. That's a great competitive advantage, I would say, for all corporations, because it allows to have access to a wider range of potential customers. And indeed, 20% of the EU population are these persons with disabilities or with reduced mobility. I hope that you find the conference enjoyable and interesting. Actually, the challenge is high, because in 2007 we had over 80 speakers and over 200 participants registered in the conference, but over 500 people with online follow-up of the conference we organized 2 years back. But we have the hope of having something similar and providing, well, advancements for our group, and that on Friday, when we meet for the closing ceremony, that sentiment, that feeling of interest